The cold metal table felt like ice against Sarah Chun's back. Above her, strange alien machines hummed and clicked with sounds that made her teeth ache. The room smelled like sharp chemicals and something that reminded her of burned plastic. She tried to move her arms, but thick straps held her down tight. "Please remain still, Dr. Chun," said a voice that sounded like wind through broken glass. The Zephyrian doctor stepped into her view. His skin was pale blue-gray, and his eyes were too large and too dark. When he spoke, she could see rows of needle-sharp teeth. "This procedure will be much easier if you do not resist." Sarah wanted to scream. She wanted to fight. But the drugs they had given her made her body feel heavy and slow. All she could do was watch as more alien hands moved around her head, placing cold metal pieces against her skull. "You are making a mistake," she said. Her voice came out weak and quiet. "You cannot just take parts of my mind away. I am a scientist. I have rights." The Zephyrian doctor made a sound that might have been laughter. "Rights, Dr. Chun, you are? The only human who has seen the truth about your species' past. That makes you very dangerous. But we do not wish to kill you. You are too useful. We simply need to remove the dangerous memories." 3 more Zephyrians entered the room. They wore long dark robes that covered most of their bodies. Sarah could see their faces, though. They all had the same cold, dark eyes. One of them stepped forward. "Begin the procedure, Dr. Kethver," the robed figure said. "The council grows impatient. We need her ready for the expedition within 2 cycles." Dr. Kethver nodded and turned to a control panel covered in strange symbols that hurt Sarah's eyes to look at. His long fingers danced across the surface, and the machines above her began to glow with blue light. "Dr. Chun," Dr. Kethver said without looking at her, "our technology is far beyond what your people understand. We can remove specific memories, while leaving everything else intact. You will remember your training, you will remember your skills, you will even remember your name and your life. But you will forget what you found in the ruins on Kepler 442b. You will forget the data crystals. You will forget the truth about the Terran Dominion." Sarah felt panic rise in her chest like cold water. The Terran Dominion. Just thinking the name made her heart race. She had spent 3 years digging through the ruins on that dead world. 3 years of careful work, hiding her findings from her alien supervisors. The data crystals she had found told a story that would change everything. Humans had not always been the weak, scattered people they were now. Once, they had ruled the stars. "No," she whispered, "you cannot take that from me. It is the truth. People need to know. People need to be safe," said one of the robed figures. "Your species caused enough trouble when they had power. We will not allow that to happen again." The blue light above her head grew brighter. Sarah could feel something tickling inside her skull, like tiny fingers moving through her brain. It did not hurt, but it felt wrong, very wrong. "The memory engrams are responding well," Dr. Kethver said to the others. "Her neural pathways are more complex than we expected. Humans have very strange brain structures. But our technology is working." Sarah tried to remember the data crystals. She tried to think about the holographic records she had seen. Ships, the size of cities, weapons that could crack planets in half. Humans in strange armor standing over defeated alien armies. But the memories felt fuzzy now, like trying to remember a dream. "Excellent," said the lead robed figure. "When she wakes, she will remember nothing of the Dominion. But she will still be our best xenorchaeologist. We can use her skills without worrying about her dangerous knowledge." Minutes passed, or maybe hours. Sarah could not tell. The blue light pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. The tickling in her brain grew stronger, then weaker, then stronger again. She felt parts of her mind going dark. Like rooms in a house where someone was turning off the lights one by one, she tried to hold on to the memories. The crystal that had responded to her touch. The voice in the recording that spoke in ancient Earth languages that should not exist. The star map showing human worlds scattered across the galaxy. But they were slipping away like water through her fingers. "Neural pattern is stabilizing," Dr. Kethver announced. The target memories have been successfully isolated and suppressed. Her other memories remain intact. Good, said the rogue figure, and you are certain she will not remember? Impossible, Dr. Kethver replied. We have not destroyed the memories. That would cause too much damage to surrounding neural tissue. Instead, we have compressed them and blocked the pathways that allow access. It is like building a wall around them. She may sometimes feel that something is missing, but she will never be able to reach the blocked memories. Sarah wanted to laugh, but she felt too tired. These aliens thought they understood human minds. They thought they could just build walls in her head and everything would be fine. But they had never met a human who had spent years studying ancient alien technology. They had never met someone who understood that all walls could be broken. The blue light began to fade. A tickling in her brain stopped. Sarah felt empty, like something important had been taken from her. But underneath that emptiness she felt something else. Anger and determination. The procedure is complete, Dr. Kethver said. She will sleep for several hours while her brain adjusts to the changes. When she wakes, we can begin preparing her for the expedition to Zarian Prime. Excellent work, Doctor, said the robed figure. The Council will be pleased. Dr. Chun will help us explore the ruins on Zarian Prime, and she will never suspect that they are connected to her own species' dark past. The aliens filed out of the room, leaving Sarah alone with the humming machines. She closed her eyes and tried to sleep, but her mind felt restless. She could not remember why, but she had the feeling that she had lost something very important. Something that might have changed everything. Deep in her mind. Behind the walls the Zephyrians had built, compressed memories waited in the dark. They pulsed like a slow heartbeat, growing stronger with each beat. The aliens had made one mistake. They assumed that human brains worked like their own brains. They assumed that walls built by alien technology would hold against human determination, but humans had always been good at breaking things. Even things inside their own heads. As Sarah drifted into drugged sleep, her compressed memories began their slow work. Neural pathways that had been blocked started sending out tiny signals, looking for new routes. The human brain was stubborn. It did not like having parts of itself locked away. The Zephyrians thought they had won. They thought they had the perfect solution to the human problem. Keep the useful skills, remove the dangerous knowledge. Use humans as tools without worrying about what they might remember. They would learn soon enough that controlling a human mind was much harder than they thought. And Sarah Chun was about to become their biggest mistake. Sarah woke up feeling like someone had taken important pieces out of her head. She sat on the edge of the medical bed and rubbed her temples. The room was white and clean and smelled like the chemicals they used to sterilize alien medical equipment. Her head hurt, but not in a normal way. It felt like she had forgotten something very important, but she could not remember what. "Dr. Chung, you are awake," said a voice behind her. She turned to see Commander Vexhai standing in the doorway. He was tall even for a Zephyrian, with pale blue skin and those disturbing dark eyes. He wore a military uniform covered in symbols. She did not recognize. "How do you feel?" "Strange," Sarah said honestly. "Like I lost something, but I cannot remember what." "That is normal after medical procedures," Vexhai said. His voice had no emotion in it. "Dr. Kethver says you are ready for the expedition." "We leave for Zarian Prime in 6 hours," Sarah nodded. She remembered agreeing to join an archaeological expedition to explore ancient ruins. That made sense. She was a xenorchaeologist. Studying alien ruins was her job. But something felt wrong about the whole situation. Why could she not remember how she had gotten here? "Commander," she said, "can you remind me why I agreed to this expedition? My memory of the last few days is fuzzy." Vexhai's large eyes studied her face. "You volunteered when you heard about the ruins on Zarian Prime. You said they might contain artifacts from an unknown civilization. As our best human expert on ancient technologies, we need your skills." That sounded reasonable, but Sarah still felt like something was missing. She had a nagging feeling that there was more to this story. 6 hours later, Sarah found herself on a Zephyrian transport ship heading towards Zarian Prime. The ship was designed for beings much taller than humans, so everything felt oversized. The walls curved in ways that made her dizzy if she looked at them too long. Her team consisted of 5 Zephyrians and herself. Besides Commander Vexhai, there was Dr. Zenekala, a tall female scientist with intricate tattoos covering her pale arms. The other 3 were soldiers whose names she could not pronounce. They all watched her carefully, like they expected her to do something dangerous. "Tell me about these ruins," Sarah said to Dr. Zenekala as they sat in the ship's common area. "What do we know about them?" "Very little," Zenekala replied. "They are old, maybe 10,000 years. The architecture is unlike anything in our databases. That is why we need a human perspective. Your species has a talent for understanding ancient mysteries." Sarah felt a strange flutter in her chest when Zenekala said that. A human perspective. Why did that phrase make her feel proud and sad at the same time? The journey to Zarian Prime took 3 days. During that time, Sarah tried to prepare for the expedition, but she kept having strange moments. She would find herself humming melodies she did not remember learning. Her hands would move in patterns that felt familiar but made no sense. Sometimes she would start to say words in languages she was sure she had never studied. On the second day, she was reviewing the preliminary scans of the ruins when something odd happened. She looked at the images of the ancient structures and her heart started racing. The buildings looked wrong somehow. Not wrong in a bad way, but wrong like they were trying to hide something. "Dr. Chun," Commander Vexhai said, appearing beside her table. "You look disturbed. Is there a problem with the data?" "No," Sarah said quickly. "I just thought I recognized something about the architecture, but that is impossible. I have never seen buildings like these before." Vexhai's dark eyes narrowed slightly. "Perhaps you are thinking of similar structures from other expeditions. Human archaeologists see many ruins." "Yes," Sarah agreed. That must be it, but she knew it was not. The feeling was too strong, too specific. These ruins meant something to her, even though she could not remember what. On the 3rd day, they reached Zarian Prime. It was a dead world covered in red dust and broken stone. The atmosphere was thin but breathable for humans. As their shuttle descended toward the landing site, Sarah pressed her face to the small window and looked down. At the ruins, they were massive. Towers and walls stretched across kilometers of desert, all built from the same dark metal that seemed to absorb light. The buildings had a brutal, practical look to them, like they were designed for war rather than beauty. "Impressive, are they?" "Not," Dr. Zenekala said, looking over Sarah's shoulder. "We estimate the city once housed over 1 million beings. But we have found no bodies, no personal artifacts. It is as if everyone just vanished." Sarah felt that strange flutter in her chest again, stronger this time. "Have you found any clues about who built it?" "None," Zenekala replied. "The metal is an unknown alloy. The construction techniques are beyond our current understanding. And there are no inscriptions or symbols anywhere. It is a mystery." The shuttle landed near the largest structure, a massive tower that rose like a black finger into the pale sky. As Sarah stepped out of the shuttle, the red dust crunched under her boots. The air smelled like rust and something else she could not identify. "Stay close to the group," Commander Vexhai ordered. "These ruins may contain dangerous technology. We do not want any accidents." Sarah nodded, but as they walked toward the tower entrance, her body began acting on its own. Her steps fell into a rhythm that felt natural, like she had walked this path before. When they reached a pile of fallen stones blocking part of the entrance, her hands moved without her permission, finding handholds that were almost invisible and pulling herself up with practiced ease. "Dr. Chun," Vexhai called from below. "How did you know those handholds were there?" Sarah looked down at her hands in surprise. I do not know, lucky guess." Dr. Zenekala made a note on her datapad. "Interesting. Human intuition is quite remarkable." Inside the tower, the strangeness continued. Sarah found herself walking confidently through corridors that should have been completely unfamiliar. When they reached a section where the floor had collapsed, leaving a gap too wide to jump, she immediately went to a wall panel and pressed her hand against it. Hidden steps emerged from the wall. How did you know to do that? One of the soldiers asked in accented standard. I do not know, Sarah said, and it was true. Her body seemed to know things her mind did not. Maybe the builders thought like humans do. Commander Vexhai was taking more notes now. Sarah could see him exchanging looks with Dr. Zinakala. They were worried about something. As they went deeper into the tower, Sarah's unconscious knowledge became more obvious. She avoided floor panels that looked solid but were actually traps. She knew which doorways were safe and which ones led to dead ends. Most disturbing of all, she started humming again, and this time she realized the melody matched the rhythm of their footsteps. Dr. Chun, Dr. Zinakala said during a rest break. You seem remarkably familiar with this place. Are you certain you have never been here before? I am certain, Sarah replied. But even as she said it, she felt doubt creeping into her mind. Her behavior was too strange to be coincidence. It was like her body remembered things her mind had forgotten. They camped that night in a large chamber near the center of the tower. The Zephyrians set up their equipment and prepared simple meals. Sarah sat apart from them, staring at the dark walls. The stone was covered in tiny scratches that might have been decorative patterns or might have been writing. Looking at them made her head ache. Cannot sleep? Commander Vexhai asked, settling down beside her. Just thinking, Sarah said. There is something familiar about this place. Something that makes me feel ... Feel what? Sarah searched for the right words. Home, but also scared. Like this place holds memories I should have but do not. Vexhai was quiet for a long moment. Sometimes our minds play tricks on us, Dr. Chun. Ancient places like this can create strong emotional responses even when we have no logical reason for them. Yes, Sarah agreed, that must be it. But as she lay down to sleep that night, Sarah could not shake the feeling that Commander Vexhai was lying to her. About what? She did not know. But there were too many secrets in his dark eyes in her dreams. She walked through corridors that were brighter and newer than the ruins around her. In her dreams, she wore strange armor and carried weapons she did not recognize. In her dreams, she was not alone. When she woke up the next morning, she could not remember the dreams clearly. But she could remember the feeling they gave her. Power and loss, something important had been taken from her. And somehow, these ruins held the key to getting it back. On their second day in the ruins, Sarah found the sealed chamber. She was not looking for it. Her feet simply carried her down a corridor the others had marked as a dead end. When she pressed her hand against what looked like solid wall, a hidden door slid open with a soft whisper. Dr. Chun. Commander Vexhai's voice echoed behind her. Where are you going? That area has not been cleared for exploration. Sarah turned back to see the whole team running toward her. Vexhai looked angry and worried. Dr. Zinakala was scanning the doorway with her instruments, and the three soldiers had their weapons ready. I am sorry, Sarah said. I thought I saw something. The door just opened when I touched it. Doors do not just open, Vexhai said. His large dark eyes studied the entrance. This technology should be dead. We have found no power sources in any of these buildings. Dr. Zinakala looked at her scanner and frowned. Commander, I am reading active energy signatures from inside this chamber. Whatever is in there, it is still working. Sarah felt her heart beating faster. Something inside that room was calling to her? She could not explain it, but she knew. She needed to go inside. We should report this to the ship, one of the soldiers said. Active alien technology could be dangerous. No, Sarah said quickly. I mean, we should investigate first. This could be the discovery we came here for. Vexhai looked at her for a long moment. Very well. But I go first. Dr. Chun, you stay behind me. Everyone else maintain defensive positions. They entered the chamber in single file. Sarah's skin tingled as she crossed the threshold. The room was larger than she had expected, with a high ceiling that disappeared into shadows. The walls were covered in panels that glowed with soft blue light. In the center of the room stood a pedestal holding a crystal about the size of her fist. The crystal was beautiful. It was clear like glass but seemed to contain swirling galaxies of light. As Sarah looked at it, the swirling became faster and brighter. "Fascinating," Dr. Zinakala whispered. "The crystal appears to be responding to our presence." Sarah took a step toward the pedestal. The crystal pulsed brighter. "Dr. Chun." "Stop," Vexai ordered. "Do not touch anything until we understand what we are dealing with." But Sarah was not listening anymore. The crystal was calling to her in a voice she could almost understand. Her hand reached out toward it, moving without her permission. "Sarah." "No." Vexai lunged forward. But he was too late. Sarah's fingers touched the crystal. The world exploded into light. And sound and memory-images flooded her mind like a dam bursting. She saw fleets of massive ships moving through space, their hulls bearing symbols she suddenly recognized. She saw worlds covered in cities that stretched from pole to pole. She saw humans in armor that made them look like gods of war, but these were not just any humans. These were her people. Her ancestors, her civilization. The Terran Dominion. "No!" Sarah gasped, stumbling backward from the crystal. "This cannot be real, Dr. Chun. What is happening?" Dr. Zinakala asked. "Your vital signs are spiking." Sarah barely heard her. More memories were flooding back. She remembered now why the ruins felt familiar. This was not an alien city. This was a human city. A forward base of the Terran Dominion, built 10,000 years ago when humanity ruled half the galaxy. She remembered the data crystals she had found on Kepler 442b. She remembered 3 years of careful research hiding her discoveries from alien supervisors who would not understand. She remembered learning the truth about what humans had once been, and she remembered the Zephyrian Council deciding she was too dangerous to live with that knowledge. "You erased my memories," she said, turning to face Commander Vexai. "You took my mind apart and stole my past." Vexai's pale face went even whiter. "Dr. Chun, you are confused. The crystal is affecting your brain. Step away from it." "I am not confused," Sarah said. Her voice was getting stronger and colder with each word. "I remember everything now, the Terran Dominion, the war, what you people did to us." The crystal behind her was pulsing faster now, and each pulse brought back more memories. She remembered humans who could reshape matter with their minds. She remembered ships that could cross the galaxy in days. She remembered weapons that could crack moons in half. She also remembered why it all ended. "You were afraid of us," Sarah continued. "You and the other alien races. You could not compete with human technology, so you formed an alliance. You attacked us when we were celebrating a peace treaty. You destroyed our worlds while our fleets were scattered." "That is ancient history," Vexai said. "The Terran Dominion fell because it was cruel and aggressive. They conquered peaceful worlds and enslaved entire species." Sarah laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Is that what you tell yourselves? That you were the good ones?" More memories crashed into her mind. She saw the real history now, not the sanitized version the aliens had taught in their schools. The Terran Dominion had been expanding, yes, but they had offered partnership to every species they met. Most had joined willingly, trading their resources for human protection and technology. The aliens had attacked not because humans were cruel, but because they were afraid. Afraid of becoming irrelevant in a galaxy where humans could do anything. "Dr. Chun," Dr. Zinakala said carefully, "you need medical attention. The crystal is clearly affecting your neural pathways. These memories you think you have, they are not real." "They are real," Sarah said, "and you know it. That is why you tried to erase them." She turned back to the crystal and placed both hands on it. The device responded immediately, projecting holographic displays that filled the chamber. With light, star maps appeared in the air, showing human worlds scattered across the galaxy. Technical specifications for ships and weapons scrolled past in languages that should have been dead. Impossible, one of the soldiers whispered. How is she reading? Those displays? Sarah smiled as the knowledge flowed into her. Because this system is designed for humans. It responds to our DNA, our neural patterns, our genetic memory. You could study this crystal for 1,000 years and never understand it. Shut it down, Vexai ordered. Dr. Chun, step away from the device immediately. No, Sarah said. I am done taking orders from you. The holographic displays were showing her things that made her heart race with excitement and dread. Hidden bases throughout the galaxy, still functional after 10,000 years. Sleeper cells of human descendants scattered among alien populations. And deep in the crystal's memory banks, she found what she was really looking for, Protocol Lazarus. The Terran Dominion had not just planned for defeat. They had planned for revenge. You think you won the war, Sarah said, not looking away from the displays. You think you destroyed us completely, but humans do not give up. We plan for every possibility. Dr. Chun, you are scaring me, Dr. Zinakala said. Please, let us help you. Sarah finally turned around. When the others saw her face, they took a step back. Her eyes had changed. They were still human, but there was something cold and calculating in them now. Something that reminded them of the old stories about what humans used to be. Help me? Sarah said. You want to help the species you tried to genocide? How generous. We saved humans, Vexai protested. When the Dominion fell, we could have killed every human in the galaxy. Instead, we relocated the survivors to safe worlds. We gave them new lives. You made us into pets, Sarah corrected. Useful pets who could dig up old ruins for you. Pets who did not remember that they used to own the galaxy. The crystal pulsed. Again, and Sarah felt more than memories returning. She felt skills coming back, tactical knowledge, technical expertise, and most importantly, the cold pragmatism that had made humans so dangerous in the first place. The procedure you used on me, she said. How many other humans have you treated? Vexai did not answer, but his silence told her everything. All of them, Sarah said. Every human who showed signs of remembering the old days. You hunted us. Down and scrambled our brains, made us forget what we were. For the good of the galaxy, Vexai said. The Terran Dominion was a nightmare. We could not allow it to return, Sarah nodded slowly. You are right about one thing. You cannot allow it to return. She turned back to the crystal and began entering commands. The holographic displays changed, showing new information. Communication. Frequencies, activation codes, target lists. What are you doing? Dr. Zinakala asked. I am waking up my people, Sarah said. Every human you treated, every descendant you thought you had under control. Protocol Lazarus was designed for exactly this situation. A way to restore our memories and reactivate our networks even after generations of suppression. Stop! Vexai pulled out his weapon. I will not allow you to destroy the peace we have built. Sarah looked at him over her shoulder. Peace? You call this peace? You have turned my entire species into brain-damaged servants. You have rewritten history. To make yourselves the heroes. You have spent 10,000 years making sure humans never remember what we were capable of. She entered the final command. Across the galaxy, quantum-entangled transmitters built into ancient human ruins began broadcasting. The signal was coded into human DNA, designed to trigger specific neural pathways that had been artificially suppressed. Other humans, scattered across 100 worlds, would start remembering. They would remember the Terran Dominion. They would remember the war. And they would remember why. The crystal's alarms stopped as suddenly as they had started. In the silence that followed, Sarah could hear her own heartbeat and the nervous breathing of the Zephyrians behind her. The holographic displays had gone dark, but she knew the signal had been sent. Across the galaxy, other humans were beginning to remember. What have you done? Commander Vexai whispered. His weapon was still pointed at her, but his hand was shaking. Sarah turned away from the crystal, moving slowly and calmly. I sent a wake-up call. In a few hours, maybe a few days, every human you have treated will start to remember who they really are. You have doomed us all, Dr. Zinakala said. Her pale face had gone gray with fear. "The Council will not allow the Dominion to return. They will order the termination of every human in the galaxy." Sarah smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Let them try. You might be surprised at how hard humans are to kill when they remember how to fight back." She began walking toward the chamber exit. Vexhai moved to block her path, his weapon raised. "You are not leaving this room," he said. "I cannot allow you to cause more damage." "Commander," Sarah said in a voice that was suddenly very calm and very dangerous, "you are pointing a weapon at me. That is not wise." "You are one human against 4 armed Zephyrians," Vexhai replied. "Surrender now, and I promise you will." "Be treated fairly." Sarah looked at him for a long moment. Then she laughed. "You still do not understand, do you? You think I am just a confused archaeologist who found some old memories. You have no idea what I really am." Before anyone could react, Sarah moved. Her body remembered training that her conscious mind had forgotten. She stepped sideways, grabbed Vexhai's weapon arm, and twisted. The weapon clattered to the floor as the commander cried out in pain. The other soldiers raised their weapons, but Sarah was already moving again. She rolled behind the crystal pedestal as energy blasts filled the air where she had been standing. The crystal absorbed the shots without damage, glowing brighter with each impact. "Stop shooting at the crystal!" Dr. Zinakala screamed. "You could damage the entire structure." Sarah used the distraction to move again. She came up behind one of the soldiers and struck him in a spot that made him collapse instantly. The other soldier spun toward her, but she was already gone, using the chambers shadows to hide. "Impossible," Vexhai gasped, clutching his twisted arm. "Humans are not capable of this kind of combat. Normal humans are not." Sarah's voice came from somewhere in the darkness. "But I am not a normal human. I am a Dominion agent. Do you know what that means?" Another soldier fell to the ground, unconscious. The remaining Zephyrian fired wildly into the shadows, but his shots hit nothing. "It means I was trained from childhood to be a living weapon," Sarah continued. "It means I know 17 different ways to kill you with my bare hands. It means I have been hiding among your people for years, waiting for the right moment to strike." The last soldier backed against the wall, his weapon sweeping back and forth. "Show yourself, human, as you wish." Sarah stepped out of the shadows directly behind him. Before he could turn, she had disarmed him and rendered him unconscious. In less than 3 minutes, she had defeated 4 armed opponents without killing any of them. "You see," she said to Vexhai and Dr. Zinakala, who were pressed against the far wall, "the Dominion did not just plan for military defeat. We planned for infiltration, for the long game." She picked up one of the fallen weapons and checked its charge. "How many human archaeologists do you think are really archaeologists? How many human farmers are really farmers? How many human merchants are really merchants?" Dr. Zinakala's eyes went wide with understanding. "You are saying that human refugees were actually sleeper agents?" "Some of us," Sarah confirmed. "Not." "Oh, most humans really did forget who they were. But a few of us were programmed differently. Deep cover agents with buried memories and hidden training. We were meant to wake up when the time was right." She gestured toward the crystal. "And now the time is right. Protocol Lazarus is not just about restoring memories. It is about activating networks that have been dormant for 10,000 years." Vexhai tried to stand, still holding his injured arm. "The Council will never allow this. They will mobilize every fleet in the Alliance." "Let them," Sarah said. "They might be surprised to learn how many of their own people are actually working for us." She moved to one of the wall panels and placed her hand against it. The panel lit up, responding to her touch. More holographic displays appeared, showing technical diagrams that made the Zephyrians step back in fear. "These ruins are not just ancient cities," Sarah explained as she worked. "They are weapons platforms, hidden bases, manufacturing centers. Everything we need to rebuild the Dominion." "That is impossible," Dr. Zinakala protested. "Our surveys showed these structures are completely dead, no power sources, no active systems." "Your surveys were wrong," Sarah replied. The systems are not dead, they are sleeping, waiting for the right genetic key to wake them up. She entered a command, and the entire tower began to vibrate. Deep below them, machines that had been silent for 10,000 years started to hum. With power, what are you doing? Vexhai demanded. I am coming home, Sarah said. This base was built by the 47th Expeditionary Fleet, my ancestors. My people, they built it to last, and they built it to wait. The vibration grew stronger. Outside the chamber, they could hear sounds of movement, metal on stone, machinery activating. Systems coming online. The automated factories are starting up, Sarah continued. The defense systems are powering on. The communication arrays are connecting to other bases across the galaxy. In a few hours, this dead world will be the most dangerous place in known space. Dr. Xenakala was frantically working on her datapad. I'm trying to contact our ship, but something is jamming our communications. That would be the jamming system my ancestors installed, Sarah said helpfully. It covers the entire planet. Nothing gets in or out without permission. Vexhai was backing toward the chamber entrance. We need to leave, now, before this gets worse. Oh, Commander, Sarah said, her voice full of false sympathy. It is going to get much worse. She activated another system, and the chamber filled with new holographic displays. These showed star maps, but not historical ones. These were current, real-time displays of ship movements throughout the galaxy. 27 other Dominion bases have just come online, Sarah announced. Bases you never found because you never knew where to look. Each one is powering up weapons and factories and ships that you thought were destroyed forever. The displays showed red dots appearing throughout known space. Each dot represented a hidden human base becoming active. This is just the beginning, Sarah continued. The Dominion built hundreds of these facilities, maybe thousands, all waiting for the activation signal, all ready to resume operations after 10,000 years of sleep. She turned to face the terrified Zephyrians. You wanted to make sure humans never remembered what we were capable of. But you made a mistake. You assumed that forgetting was the same as being powerless. More displays appeared, showing production schedules and ship designs. The Zephyrians stared at the technical specifications with growing horror. In 72 hours, the first new Dominion warships will roll out of these factories, Sarah said. In 1 week, we will have a fleet. In 1 month, we will have an army. And then, Commander Vexhai, we are going to have a conversation about what you people did to my species. Vexhai finally found his voice. You cannot win. The Alliance has thousands of worlds, billions of ships. You are just scattered humans. With old technology, Sarah's smile grew wider and colder. Old technology? Commander, you have been using our leftover technology for 10,000 years. Your best ships are built with Dominion designs you reverse-engineered from wreckage. Your most advanced weapons are copies of our basic sidearms. She gestured to the displays around them. This is not old technology. This is what we built when we had time to prepare. When we knew we might need to rebuild from nothing, the tower's vibration was getting stronger. Through the chamber's walls, they could hear the sound of massive machinery moving. I recommend you contact your ship, Sarah said. Tell them to leave the system immediately. In about 6 hours, this planet's orbital defense grid will be online. After that, nothing leaves without my permission. Dr. Xenakala was still trying to work her communicator. The jamming is too strong. I cannot reach anyone. Then I guess you will be staying for dinner, Sarah said pleasantly. I hope you like human food. The automated systems are probably growing some right now. She walked to the chamber entrance and looked back at the Zephyrians. You thought you had solved the human problem. You thought you could use us as tools while keeping us weak and ignorant. But you forgot something important about humans. What? Vexhai asked, though he looked like he did not want to hear the answer. We learn from our mistakes, Sarah said. The First Dominion was defeated because we trusted you. We thought we could share the galaxy in peace. We will not make that mistake again. She left the chamber, and they could hear her footsteps echoing down the corridor. The Zephyrians were alone with the humming crystal and the growing sounds of an ancient war machine waking up, and across the galaxy, other humans were beginning to remember who they used to be. 3 days later, Sarah stood in the command center of the Zarian Prime Base, watching as reports came in from across the galaxy. The ancient chamber had been transformed into a bustling nerve center, with holographic displays showing real-time data from dozens of awakened Dominion facilities. Base Gamma 7 reports full activation, announced a voice from the communication system. The voice belonged to Dr. Marcus Webb, who had been a simple botanist on the agricultural world of New Eden until Protocol Lazarus restored his memories. Now he was Colonel Webb again, commanding a facility that could produce enough warships to conquer a star system. "Acknowledged, Gamma 7, Sarah replied. "What is your current production status?" "First batch of frigates will be ready in 18 hours. Destroyer production begins tomorrow. We estimate full fleet capacity within 2 weeks." Sarah nodded with satisfaction. Around the galaxy, the same scene was playing out. Humans who had spent their lives as farmers, merchants, teachers, and laborers were remembering their true identities. They were engineers, soldiers, scientists, and spies. And they were very, very angry about what had been done to them. Behind her, Commander Vexhai sat in restraints, his dark eyes watching the displays with growing horror. Dr. Xenakala and the 3 soldiers had been moved to holding cells deeper in the base, but Sarah kept Vexhai nearby. She wanted him to see what was coming. "This is madness," Vexhai said. "You cannot seriously intend to restart a war that ended 10,000 years ago." Sarah turned to look at him. Over the past 3 days she had changed. Her clothes were now the dark gray uniform of a Dominion officer. Her posture was straighter, more military. Her eyes had the cold efficiency of someone who had been trained to make hard decisions. "The war never ended, Commander," she said. "You just convinced yourselves." "It had. For 10,000 years you have been occupying our territory, using our descendants as slave labor, and telling lies about our history. That is not peace. That is a very slow genocide." "We gave humans good lives," Vexhai protested. "Safe worlds. Useful work, protection from the dangers of space. We could have killed every human in the galaxy, but we chose mercy instead." Sarah laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Mercy? You erased our minds. You stole our children and raised them to forget their heritage. You turned the greatest civilization in galactic history into a collection of brain-damaged servants, and you call that mercy?" Another report came in from the communication system. "Base Alpha 12 to Central Command. We have successfully infiltrated the Zephyrian fleet yards at Kepler Station. Admiral Harrison reports that 30% of the alien fleet has been sabotaged. Engines will fail if they try to jump to hyperspace." "Excellent work, Alpha 12, Sarah replied. "Proceed to Phase 2 of the operation." Vexhai stared at her in shock. "Admiral Harrison? But he is the head of security for the Kepler shipyards. He has been working for us for 15 years. "He has been working for you?" Sarah corrected. "But he has been working for us longer. Admiral Harrison was one of our deep cover assets. Like hundreds of others in positions throughout your government and military." The truth was starting to dawn on Vexhai. "How many of our people are actually your people?" "Enough," Sarah said simply. "Did you really think we would just give up?" "After losing one war, humans do not surrender, Commander. We adapt. We plan, we wait, and when the time is right, we strike back." She gestured to the displays around them. "Every human you thought you had under control was a potential asset. Every human worker in your shipyards learned how your ships work. Every human servant in your government buildings heard your secrets. Every human farmer on your agricultural worlds knows exactly how much food you need to survive." More reports came in, each one worse news for the Zephyrian Alliance. Human sleeper agents were revealing themselves across the galaxy. Ships were being sabotaged. Communication networks were being hacked. Supply lines were being cut. Base State 9. "Reports successful capture of the mining station at Proxima Centauri," announced another voice. We now control 60% of the Alliance's rare metal production. The base Delta IV has taken control of the hyperspace relay network in Sector 7. All enemy communications in that region are now under our control. Base Omega-2 reports that the food shipments to the Zephyrian homeworld have been poisoned with a harmless but very unpleasant stomach illness. The entire planetary government should be sick for about a week. Sarah smiled at that last report. I told you we learned from our mistakes, Commander. The old Dominion was too quick to kill. We preferred to conquer and move on, but this new Dominion is more patient. More creative. She walked to a control panel and brought up a new display. It showed the current status of Zephyrian military forces throughout the galaxy. Most of the red indicators were now flashing yellow or orange, indicating ships that were damaged, hacked, or controlled by human agents. Your fleet is impressive, Sarah said. Thousands of ships, millions of soldiers, but there is a problem. Most of your ships use technology you copied from us. Most of your weapons are based on designs you found in our ruins. And we know exactly how to turn all of that technology against you. Vexai was staring at the display in horror. This is impossible. Our security systems would have detected sabotage on this scale. Your security systems were designed by humans, Sarah pointed out. Dr. Elizabeth Chun, my cousin, has been the chief security programmer for the Alliance Central Computer for 8 years. Guess what she has been doing with her access codes? As if summoned by her words, a new holographic figure appeared in the command center. It was a woman who looked remarkably like Sarah, but older and wearing the uniform of an Alliance technical officer. Hello, Sarah, the hologram said. Congratulations on a successful activation. I have just finished uploading the new security protocols to every major Alliance computer system. They now recognize Dominion personnel as the highest level of authority. Thank you, Elizabeth, Sarah replied. Status report? All major Alliance military computers are now under our control. I have access to their fleet movements, their defensive positions, their supply schedules, and their communication codes. I have also taken the liberty of promoting every known human agent to positions of higher authority within their respective organizations. Vexai was shaking his head in disbelief. The Alliance Council will never surrender. They will fight to the last ship rather than submit to human rule again. I am counting on it, Sarah said. You see, Commander, we do not want to rule the galaxy the way we did before. That was too much work and it made too many enemies. This time we have a different plan. She brought up another display, this one showing colonization charts and population statistics. We are going to take all the good worlds, she announced. The ones with perfect climates, rich resources, and strategic locations. Your people can keep the ice balls, the desert planets, and the radiation-soaked rocks. We will even let you keep some of your ships so you can trade with each other and pretend you still matter. You cannot be serious, Vexai said. Oh, but I am, Sarah replied. You spent 10,000 years teaching us that might makes right. You took our worlds because you were stronger. You erased our memories because you could. You turned us into servants because we could not stop you. She leaned closer to him, her eyes cold and pitiless. Well, congratulations, Commander. We learned the lesson. Now we are stronger than you. Now we can do whatever we want to you. And what we want is for you to spend the next 10,000 years remembering what it feels like to be powerless. The communication system crackled to life again. Central Command, this is Fleet Admiral Torres aboard the battleship Retribution. The first wave of new Dominion ships has just entered hyperspace. We will reach the Zephyrian home system in 6 hours. Acknowledged, Admiral, Sarah said. Remember, we want them to surrender, not to die. Dead enemies cannot learn from their mistakes. She turned back to Vexai, who was staring at her with a mixture of fear and hatred. You have 6 hours to contact your council, she said. Tell them they have a choice. They can surrender now and accept our terms for partition of the galaxy, or they can fight a war they cannot win against an enemy that knows all their secrets. And if they refuse? Vexai asked. Sarah's smile was colder than space itself. Then they will learn why the Terran Dominion was so feared in the first place. And this time, Commander, we will not make the mistake of showing mercy to our enemies. She walked to the chamber exit and paused. You wanted to control what we remember, but you forgot the most important thing about humans. We never forgive, and we never forget. And now, thanks to you, we remember everything. As Sarah left the command center, Vexai was alone with the displays showing Dominion forces moving across the galaxy like a tide of vengeance 10,000 years in the making. The humans were coming home, and they were not the same species that had been defeated so long ago. They were something much more dangerous. They were humans who had learned patience